And would you please all rise and join us in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Zerl, would you please conduct the roll?
Certainly. Mr. Castine.
Present.
Mr. Zio.
Here.
Mr. Bowles excused this evening. Mr. Henry.
Here.
Mr. Hughes.
Here.
Mr. Kretzer. Here. Mr. Perrier.
Here.
Mr. Randall. Here. Timmons is excused this evening. Ms. Walter.
Here.
You have forms.
Excellent, thank you. All legislators have received a copy of the minutes for February 14th regular session. There are no additions, deletions, or corrections. I'll take a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll move that.
Motion by legislator Hughes, second by legislator Zia. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. I'll now recognize anyone in the audience who wish to share their thoughts and concerns with the legislature. Please raise your hand if you wish to be recognized. 1, 2, 3. I'm not missing anybody. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. What did I miss?
No.
5. No? Did
I
we-
think one might have been,
Oh, okay.
yeah, it was,
Okay, so we got, I'm sorry, would we do it again? Tell them maybe we got, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5. Thanks. Alrighty. For the record, in accordance with the rules of orders, a person addressing the legislator will be limited up to 5 minutes. And please state your name and address when you get to the podium. And we'll go with you first, ma'am.
My name is Jennifer Jewett, and I live in Champlain, New York. Address is 11109 State Route 9. Hi, my name is Jennifer Jewett, and I'm a retired Air Force E-7 and disabled veteran living in Champlain, New York. Talk about ironic. For weeks I've had plans to come here and try and persuade you, our Clayton County legislators, to create stricter animal control laws to include laws on tethering. That was long before the large-scale animal cruelty case just 2 days ago, where 49 dogs were seized from the Canine Gem Animal Rescue here in Beekman Town. Tonight I'll provide you with 2 reasons to update our animal cruelty and dog tethering laws, as well as outline a plan on how to implement these changes. I originally began fighting for stricter animal cruelty laws, and specifically laws regarding tethering, after witnessing 2 dogs tied out in a field 24/7 in Moores, New York. I watched these dogs live through unimaginable winter weather conditions. Because according to animal control they had food, shelter, and water, nothing could be done under New York state law. Upset, I set out to try and change local town animal control laws. I quickly found 3 precedents, 3 counties with tethering laws currently in place: Dutchess, Essex, and Ulster County, New York, as well as a long list of communities nationwide. Armed with this information, I attended 6 local town meetings. Most towns were incredibly supportive, but they had questions that needed to be answered. This is where my real research and education began. Reason number 1, we need stricter animal cruelty and tether laws for preparedness. I spoke to Christy Sprague, the Essex County District Attorney, who was responsible for creating the Essex County new and improved animal abuse and tether laws that were approved by the Essex County Legislature in 2014. She explained that their laws were created out of necessity when they were not prepared for the Shelley Wing large-scale horse neglect abuse case in 2013. 41 horses were found deprived of food, water, and sustenance, and were all seized by the Essex County Sheriff's Department. DA Sprague explained that Essex County was not prepared for such a large-scale animal abuse case of that magnitude. She explained that the new laws were then written for preparedness and are now in place so they are prepared for future cases. Now that we have had our own large-scale animal cruelty case involving shelter animals here in Clayton County, it seems there is no better time to consider updating our own animal cruelty laws to include laws on tethering. So we too are prepared for future cases of animal abuse. Reason number 2, we need stricter animal cruelty and tether laws. New York State ag and market laws are too subject to interpretation. The New York State ag and market laws, specifically Article 26, are very much subject to interpretation. New detailed county laws would make the laws easier to enforce, leave it less up to individual interpretation, while providing overall better guidance for our ACOs. Solution. I suggest we follow Essex County's lead and the steps they took to create their animal cruelty and tether laws that were approved in 2014. Step 1, create an animal abuse task force designed to address our problems, strengthen laws, and build mutual assistance among towns and county law enforcement. The Essex County Task Force was comprised of town supervisors, representatives from the DA office, the Sheriff's Department, the Probation Department, local humane organizations, and members of the public. Step 2, the task force must have your buy-in, but also buy-in from the ACOs, judges, law enforcement, SPCAs, and DA. The county attorney drafted the laws, advises on the wording, and the Sheriff's Department would need to agree to be the enforcement agency should violations be filed. Once the laws are in place, the New York State Ag and Markets Division would provide training to the ACOs throughout the county. There would need to be a budget in place. Essex County had an annual budget of $3,000. Laws would be enforced through a combination of camera footage, evidence from investigations, as well as witness statements. Imposed fines help pay for the court costs and investigations. Additionally, Essex County created an anonymous animal abuse hotline that makes it easier for people to call in abuse complaints. Prior to this meeting, I provided you with a packet of information which includes a long list of communities nationwide with tethering laws currently in place. The packet also includes copies of the Dutchess, Essex, and Ulster County dog tether laws. I also emailed you a video this afternoon as well. I truly believe, especially in light of the recent large-scale animal cruelty case in Beekmantown just 2 days ago, that we in Clinton County need to create stricter animal cruelty and tethering laws. While this is a very complex issue requiring involvement from many government agencies, I believe these changes are very much necessary for our preparedness, as they will provide clarity for state laws that are now subject to interpretation. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you very much. I actually watched your video. It was very well done.
Thank you.
No, that's fine. It was very well done. And it was very informative as well, as you just were. So what I would suggest to you for next steps is the Public Safety Committee is chaired by Mr. Castine, who's also Champlain. I assume you know Calvin. So at the appropriate time, I suggest that you get with the Public Safety Committee, and we'll take next steps from there.
I appreciate it, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. All right, who would like to go first? We have 4 more people. Who would like to go first? You have somebody who'd like to go first? Okay. No, before somebody goes first, is it all on the same topic? Everybody's talking on the same topic? All 4 of you, same topic? No? What's your topic about?
I'm waiting for other people from the SPCA,
From the SPCA?
from Elmore SPCA.
Oh, okay. All right. Go ahead. You want to wait?
I'm still waiting for
Okay.
a couple people.
So that leaves 3 on the 2 on the same topic. Okay. And your topic is, sir?
Airport.
Okay. You'd like to go first? All right, go ahead. Up to 5 minutes.
Chelsea Liberty, P.O. Box 684, Dannemora, New York, 12929. Within the past 2 years, a report from the New York State Commission of Corrections said they found multiple deficiencies and issues relating to the death of an inmate that occurred in September of 2021. Failing to provide proper medical care was cited in that report. In December of 2023, another inmate died while in custody at CCJ. There is currently an ongoing investigation into this death with allegations that staff once again failed to provide proper medical care to the incarcerated individual. There are allegations that he begged for help and staff ignored his pleas. There are currently at least 2 lawsuits against the county by inmates who alleged they did not receive proper medical care while incarcerated at CCJ. A current jail lieutenant was found in a court case last year to have, without cause, denied an inmate a religious diet and retaliated against him after the inmate filed a grievance. In a written decision and order, the court found the lieutenant purposely committed fraud upon the court by altering a date on a document entered into evidence. He is still employed. There are currently 2 lawsuits by female CCJ inmates that include allegations of threats of violence, enforced or coerced sexual acts by employees. There were 5 lawsuits by former female correctional officers alleging threats of violence, sexual harassment, and forcible touching by fellow male officers. 4 of those 5 lawsuits recently settled outside of court, but 1 is scheduled for trial next year. All men named in these lawsuits are still employed. 1 was allowed to resign voluntarily. These allegations and lawsuits even caught the eye of the New York State Attorney General's office, which has actively been investigating the sexual harassment claims and the circumstances surrounding the most recent inmate death. There is an employee retention issue at the jail, and many staff have complained of the increase in forced overtime due to lack of staffing. With all of these issues, just 2 days ago, the sheriff allowed his department to seize 49 dogs and house them at the jail. I understand these animals needed to be rescued. However, the sheriff cannot run his jail adequately or appropriately in its current condition. The facility is understaffed, and it continues to prove that it cannot properly care for the human beings incarcerated there. As I have previously stated, a Commission of Corrections report cited multiple instances of staff failing to provide proper medical care to inmates. However, yesterday, the sheriff found enough time to hold a press conference to boast about the attentive care his staff can provide more than 36 dogs seized as part of an animal neglect case. Sheriff Favreau was quoted saying, "It's a horrible situation, it's unfortunate. To have them just boxed up in a cage, stuffed in there like that, and treated that way is unacceptable. If only he felt that way about his female staff who cannot leave a post to use the restroom or are forced to endure unwanted sexual advances. If only you all felt the same way and strong enough to hold a press conference condemning this behavior in the toxic workplace environment being allowed by Sheriff Favreau. Why have you all chosen to remain silent? Reporters have reached out and no comment is the only response. The sheriff has continued to show a blatant disregard for the safety of the inmates incarcerated within the jail and for his employees. Just last week, during a Press Republican podcast, the sheriff pointed fingers and shifted responsibility for all sexual harassment complaints to Kim Kimball. Ms. Kimball and I have not always seen eye to eye. However, regarding the sexual harassment investigation conducted in 2021, I believe she did her job. The sheriff claims he followed her recommendations, but those findings have yet to be made public. Why are you choosing to remain silent, allowing him to use Kim Kimball as his scapegoat? You have all been elected to represent the people of this county, and I understand at the beginning you all may have thought that the few claims were isolated incidents. However, more and more people have continued to speak out about injustices done to them. With the amount of money and time put into these lawsuits, it must be extremely costly. Maybe you all thought protecting the sheriff would save the county money, but the problem isn't going away. It only seems to be worsening. Remaining silent and not letting the taxpayers and voters know what is going on or what the sheriff is doing or allowing only adds to the problems. Every day that goes by that you all remain silent and refuse to speak to the media, you are helping the sheriff and sending a message that you condone sexual harassment and poor treatment of our county's inmates and employees. Please stop being silent. Please prevent more people from being victimized. The sheriff's department just rescued poorly treated dogs. When will someone step up and save the poorly treated inmates and female employees at the sheriff's department? Thank you.
Thank you. You next.
I'm Michaela Studdard. My address is 458 Lockwood Mills Road in Peru. Plain County is famous for the prison escape and viral videos of fights at the Macon. Do we also want to be known as the county that doesn't take allegations of sexual harassment seriously? I want to be a part of a county that protects all its employees, and I feel Sheriff Favreau has not done this. That is why I have started a petition calling for his resignation. So far, I have acquired over 570 signatures in less than a month. I believe this number will continue to grow, particularly after the release of the New York State Attorney General's investigation into the allegations of sexual harassment at the jail. As of right now, the jail has had 5 lawsuits from former female COs, me being one of them. During my time at the jail, I was subjected to or witnessed extremely disgusting behavior ranging from unwanted explicit pictures being sent, inappropriate comments being made, threats of bodily harm, forced touching, and being set up to be hurt on the job. Female inmates are also subjected to this treatment. A female inmate once told me she feared for her safety because she alleged a male CO was constantly touching her against her wishes and she was being moved to an area of the jail off camera. Numerous female officers, including myself, then reported this to HR. After a 5-week investigation, the perpetrators were found in violation of the county's anti-harassment policy. A copy of the investigation findings and recommendations for disciplinary actions were forwarded to Sheriff Favreau. However, the sheriff found it appropriate to allow these officers to return to work, and this led to retaliation. One by one, those who reported the harassment and participated in the investigation were forced out. In the last 5 years, the jail has lost 13 out of 25 female officers. That is more than a 50% turnover rate for females. Why do you think that is? I imagine it's the same reason the jail has lost 9 female nurses in those same 5 years. Not having adequate nursing staff may have been a factor in 2 inmate deaths within the last 2 years. There are multiple lawsuits against the county, specifically the Sheriff's Department. How many more are we going to allow before something is done? Perhaps you may not care how much money is wasted on legal fees to cover the ongoing legal battles, but I'm sure the taxpayers do. How much is the sheriff willing to sacrifice to allow the badge-abusing officers to remain employed? We have a sergeant who allowed his girlfriend to sell drugs out of his own house and then was entitled to bail her out on his day off. Another sergeant was banned from even stepping foot in the female housing unit for months due to having sexual relations with an inmate in that unit, which is illegal. This same sergeant uses a fake social media account to continue harassing inmates after they've been released. We had an officer who got into an altercation at our local KFC with a patron who tried to stop a domestic incident between the officer and his wife. Law enforcement had to intervene in this situation. This officer was then promoted to sergeant. This same sergeant has had numerous occasions where officers had to pull him off of inmates because he was using too much force, to the point where he had blood on his shoes. We have an officer there who has openly admitted to running by female officers' houses, looking through their windows. He's also stated he would love to murder certain females in the jail and has all the proper tools in his truck to do so. He has also stated that he is mentally unstable due to his time in the armed forces. This same officer was put on our special response team and given a gun. How many more meetings do we have to attend? How many more lawsuits need to come forward? How much more money is going to be spent? How much more trauma is going to be endured? Ask yourselves, if your wife started a job at the jail and came home in tears one day because her coworker threatened to rape her in the parking lot, would you be okay with it? If your sister became a CO at the jail and came home with an injury due to sergeants purposely setting her up to get hurt, would you keep your mouth shut? If your mother wound up in jail over failing to appear and she called you to tell you an officer was forcibly touching her in the closet, would you keep allowing it to happen? If you answered no to any of those, you should step up and fight against this. Everyone deserves to feel safe, whether it's officers, inmates, or civilians. Now allowing these men to continue working is a public safety concern our sheriff caused due to his complacency. I'm asking the sheriff to do the right thing and step down, to allow someone who cares more about the county than they do their own paycheck, ego, and political power. If he is unwilling to do this for the good of our county, then I implore you as our county leaders to take a stand and do everything in your power to uphold your duties to keep the people of our county safe. Thank you.
Next group, how many do we have there? How many are speaking? Just one? How many people? I need to know how many people are speaking. Just one?
One.
Okay.
2.
Well, wait a minute.
Is that okay?
It's on the same topic?
This
Yes.
is the SPCA.
Yeah.
How long are you going to be, do you think?
We'll take
Oh,
the 5 minutes or
5
less.
We'll
5 minutes
just
total, both of you?
No,
one speaker.
no.
Okay.
Sorry that we were late in arrival. I believe you probably know why. I'm Lori Parsons. I'm from Elmore SPCA. I'm board president. I bring today with me Sean McLean, who is a co-chair for our legislative expansion committee, and our shelter director, Rebecca Moss-Patno. And we are here today to talk about the 43-page legislation that will be in effect December 15th of 2025. Sorry, it's been a very hectic time. We ran to get here. One of the things that I need to say is that we fully support all of this legislation. It is good. It is great for animals. New York State has made a major step in these 43 pages to say that Animals are important. There's legislation for cats here that's never been. They are going to, but it's going to be very difficult for shelters in the state of New York, given how we have to operate as a 501c3 charity, raising money, donations, fundraisers. Our community is extremely generous. We've seen this week with donations for a situation that has come up. Our major obstacles to Elmore, or to operate under these new standards, is the facility limitations. If we have just the shelter that we have right now, we do nothing, we will be closed by the state of New York. Our building cannot be modified to meet this new legislation. We will need a new dog facility. We also need it because over the last couple of years, we know how COVID has impacted our community. It's also impacted the animal community, and they've done so by a full shelter. We see regular court cases. We've worked over the last couple of years very extensively with our law enforcement, our sheriff's department, our state troopers, the DA's office. We've had in the last 2 years, just in maybe batches of 2 to 5, 40 cases of animal cruelty. That takes our staff, it takes our director's time to spend time in court, to fill out all the paperwork. It is a very lengthy process. You have to document everything. All of those things, whether we're talking about licensing and inspections, which we are fine with, training, we need to, we do some extraordinary training with our employees. We're going to have to do more training with volunteers. Our facility, if anybody's been in there, is extremely small, so we are limited to be able to use volunteers in the manner that we would like to. But those that come in are going to have to receive more specific training to do so. The housing of our animals, we will have to have an intake, and our square footage is probably about 1,200 square feet. We need a space for intake for dogs, an intake for cats. We need a area for animals once they pass through intake and are safe for adoption. We need another space for these animals for pre- and post-surgical needs. We need space for whelping and queening mothers of cats and dogs. We need space for seclusion of animals because of disease and for aggression and just fearfulness for the animals that we have. Many of them come in, are not socialized. We had an animal, Susie, that came in. She had never been out of the kennel. She was an adult dog. She didn't want to be out of the kennel. She was scared to be anywhere else. It took us nearly a year to get her so that she was adoptable, that she would come out of the kennel on her own, that she wasn't afraid of other dogs, she wasn't afraid of grass outside, she wasn't afraid of every noise, and she slowly and carefully made that transition, and she's now doing fabulously. But that takes, when we have so many unsocialized large animals, it's difficult. We've had to say, we're full. And we're not unlike any other animal shelter in the state of New York. They are full. We communicate regularly with other shelters to see about space, to see about needs, to work with them. Our neighboring shelter last year had a cruelty case that filled their shelter.
You want, if you got
Okay.
if you got a concluding point.
Our
now's the time
concluding
to
point
make
is
it.
we need money. And to build a building, we're going to need lots of money. So we're looking to see the support. Obviously, the community supports us. They support us for operations, but a capital project is much different. And the state of New York has money. They have $5 million this year, but that is for every shelter in the state of New York to apply. Because we are a municipal contract that has 10 contracts, that is an impact if we were not open. There are 10 municipalities in this area that would not have dog control services, facility services, if we were unable to take them. If we could take maybe just a handful of dogs if we were to stay exactly the way we are. Our dock control area, although small, does meet its needs, but after a 14-day period, everything changes in terms of space. So we need lots of space to build and have that lots of space. We need lots of money. Okay?
Okay?
All right. Thank you.
Sir, did you have a point to make?
Yes.
The same point? Oh, you're the airport, I'm sorry. We got a lot of topics going on. Thank you, Lord.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Legislature. My name is John Cromwell. I've been a resident in Plattsburgh for 20 years. I live at 13 Iowa Street in Plattsburgh. And I'm here to talk to you very briefly tonight about the airport and some airport realities as I see it from a taxpayer's perspective. I think this can be a classic case of build it and they will come, or not come in this case. And what I'm asking for tonight is some transparency in the cost to operate this airport. Allegedly, according to a recent article in the Sun Bulletin, the county supported the airport with millions of dollars last year. Airports are very costly to operate. Airport administration, buildings and grounds, and other extensive operating costs that they incur, not to mention the cost of TSA and other supporting agencies. My question is, how is that supported by this airport? 3 areas: usage rate, utilization, and competitive service limitations. Keeping in mind, this airport has been open for 17 years. It opened in 2007. It started with Allegiant, Direct Air, Spirit, and an essential air carrier. It began with service to Florida, Myrtle Beach, Las Vegas, and Boston. What's happened? Service has decreased over time, serving fewer gateways. Fewer enplanements, roughly 120,000 enplanements in the year 13, 75,000 from June 22nd to May 23rd. June 22nd of 22 and May 23rd of 23, pardon me. Recent additions of service: Breeze Airways, which is offering 2 flights, which are relatively duplicative to the service to Florida that's already being offered by Allegiant. A recent addition of a flight to Sarasota when we already have West Coast destinations of Punta Gorda and Tampa. International flights that we've prepared for by constructing expensive immigration and border control facilities. We've heard about this, we have seen nothing. We've spent $55 billion in gateway expansion, and you can see from looking at the departure rates for Plattsburgh, we use gate 1 gate. We have essential air service, costs taxpayers several $million a year. It's been a legacy of failures. It began with Cape Air, Colgan Air, Penn Air, SkyWest, and now Contour, with reports of it having some operating challenges. Another big issue is competition. We have Burlington and Montreal. Burlington enplanes over 700,000 passengers a year. It serves more than 30 flights daily with multiple gateways, and that doesn't even factor in Montreal. Plattsburgh, 3 to 6 flights a day. How can this airport compete? Usage. Montreal, 80% of this airport is announced to be used by folks from Quebec. These are not U.S. taxpayers. These are not individuals supporting the cost of the operation of this airport. What is the ripple effect? Maybe a tank of gas, a cup of coffee at Stewart's, and a parking fee, not lodging and other extensive expenditures that would help support that cost. 20% is left for the local market, which is a big price to pay for our taxpayers for the limited use that we seem to have for this airport. It seems like 17 years of empty promises of expanded service by Gary Douglas, state senators such as Chuck Schumer. And then each of these small accomplishments like Breeze seems to be something major to celebrate. I question that. And the question I have for you was, what are the future financial implications, and how much more money is going to be invested in this airport? Can taxpayers at least be made aware of the cost to operate the airport?
Thank you for your time. Thank you. I believe that concludes our public forums, unless I missed someone. All right. We'll each committee in alphabetical order by committee, starting with Buildings and Grounds, Legislator Resignation.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Buildings and Grounds Committee has not met since the last regular session. The next Buildings and Grounds Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, March 11th at 4 p.m. End of report.
Thank you. Children and Family Services, Legislator Perrier.
Children and Family Services Committee has not met since the last regular session. The next Children and Family Services Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, March 5th at 5:15. End of report.
Thank you very much. No. Oh, I thought you wanted something, I'm sorry. Economic Development and County Operations, Legislator Wall.
Yes, Mr. Chair, the Economic Development and County Operations Committee has not met since the last regular session. The committee was pulled on Resolution 147 on the agenda to advertise for a public hearing regarding the 8-year review of agricultural districts in 7C. The next Economic Development and County Operations Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, March 13th at 4 p.m.
Thank you very much. Finance, Mr. Sherwood, I believe you have a report.
Yes, sir. On behalf of Legislator Timmons, the Finance Committee has not met since last regular session. And the next Finance Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, March 6th at 5:15 p.m.
Thank you. Health, Legislator Hughes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Health Committee has not met since our last regular session. The next Health Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, March 6th at 4 p.m.
Thank you. Human Services, Legislator Randall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Human Services Committee has not met since the last regular session. The Human Services Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, March 5th at 4:15.
Very good, thank you. Personnel Committee has not met since the last regular session. The next Personnel Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, March 4th at 5 p.m. Plattsburgh International Airport, do you have that?
Yes, I do.
Legislator Walton.
The Plattsburgh International Airport Committee met earlier. Chris Craig of the airport director, was present to discuss several resolutions, including authorizing the purchasing agent to solicit bids for rehabilitation of runway 1735, lighting, and reconstruction of airfield guidance signage. Authorizing the acquired continuous friction measuring equipment project grant application. Mr. Craig also discussed the solar eclipse, safety management system development, and a tenant and an airline update. Resolutions 148 through 155 have been placed on the agenda as a result of the committee's recommendation. The next Plattsburgh International Airport Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Wednesday, March 27th at 4 p.m. End of report.
Thank you very much. Public Safety, Legislator Cast.
Thank you, sir. The Public Safety Committee has not met since the last regular session. Our next Public Safety Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, March 4th at 4 p.m. End of report.
Very good, thank you. And Transportation, Legislator Cresser.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Transportation Committee has not met since the last regular session. The Transportation Committee meeting is tentatively scheduled for Monday, March 11th at 5:15 p.m. End of report.
Very good, thank you. Liaison reports, Board of Health, Legislator Hughes.
No report.
Very good. Chamber of Commerce, Legislator Cresser.
I do have a report. Can you come back to me?
Yes, I absolutely can. I just have to remember to do it. Don't let me forget.
That's fine.
Clinton Community College, Legislator Walden.
No report.
Okay, thank you. Community Services Board, Legislator Castine.
No report this time.
Discipline Review Agreements, Intercounty, Legislator Randall and/or Walden.
Did attend the meeting this morning in Albany. It was pretty much the gist of the meeting was the crisis that EMS has found themselves in and the funding that they believe they need. So there was quite a few changes they were talking about at the legislative level, state legislative level to help with that. So they just wanted us to be
LCLG Regional Planning Board. Legislative President.
No report, sir.
Soil and Water, Legislator Fasano.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Soil and Water Board of Directors met on Thursday, February 15th. The board went over the 2023 Annual Treasurer's Report and other year-end reports, including the performance measure evaluation, 2023 financial assistance, and all the state reimbursements. I want to report that everything looks good. End of report.
Okay. That's good. Workforce Development Board, Legislator Bregan.
No report.
Report. Legislator Cresser.
So the Adirondack Coast Visitors Bureau had some activities this February. There was a Montreal bike show. The Visitors Bureau participated in Montreal in February. Also, America's 250th Battle of Valcourt event, collaborating with America's 250th Steering Committee. The Visitors Bureau is actively involved in preparations for the commemoration in October 2026. Also, the pro bass fishing tournaments this summer. The Visitors Bureau secured contracts to host 8 bass fishing tournaments, making that a record number of tournaments for our region. The Taste of New York reception, scheduled for March 4th. The Visitors Bureau is organizing at the Adirondack Coast table at the Taste of New York reception is underway. And then for the solar eclipse, occupancy is at 95% for the solar eclipse in our hotels. What else here? A lot of social media engagement, Adirondack Coast, a lot of distribution of eclipse glasses, and a ton of media outreach for the eclipse as well. And I believe that's
Very good. No, thank you. Staff reports. Ms. Keller.
Very good.
Mr. Drew.
Those of you who weren't able to attend NISAC, I can report that your colleagues worked very hard, went to several workshops, and as far as statewide policy, the board of directors did meet. I still sit on that for one more year before they move. You know, obviously the pressure this year is legislature possibly spending more than the governor proposed, which will in turn put more downward pressure for the state to find money elsewhere. Normally the state looks to county governments, so we're certainly hoping that we can work with the legislature to ensure that that does not happen. I do know that the legislative group also is tracking over several hundred bills, several hundred of the 24,000 that are introduced, and we're trying to push the positives and try to prevent bad legislation from becoming law. So, good conference, and that's all I have to.
Thank you very much. Russell? Yes.
I'm so sorry, I neglected to mention a few other things from the chamber. I just saw that I had missed. The chamber's conducting what has become the Transportation Equipment Manufacturers Gathering of the Year in the U.S. and Canada on March 19th. County legislators and managers are invited as the chamber's guests to the post-event reception that day from 3:30 to 5 o'clock at Beta Technologies, sponsored by the Quebec government. Also, the chamber is engaged in a two-day meetings this early March, focused in Albany on North Country economics and development matters, including funding the New York FAST program for shovel-ready projects, among a number of other topics. And then International Trade Days. The Chamber is once again co-organizing Canada-U.S. International Trade Days with the Canadian government and U.S. Customs and Border Protection on February, that actually just happened, on the 29th, actually today, and tomorrow. And the virtual event is expected to welcome some 300 participants from across the U.S. and Canada. I promise that's it.
That's all right.
And I also want to apologize.
You're catching up.
Your Director of Economic Development did sit on a panel titled Airport Reutilizations and Airport Growth. And with all due respect to our speaker this morning, I will tell you that I had her send me one of the slides, and the economic impact of that airport, just that airport, in 2022 is over $25 million, almost $26 million, and impacts 400 jobs in the community. So while we're not perfect, there are a lot of positives that airport does beyond the commercial traffic.
Francis, you had something to add?
Yes,
Legislator Perrier, I mean, you had something to add.
all right. On the way home from Albany this morning, I was thinking about the 49 dogs that we have staying at the county jail. And Mike knows that I like to see things. That's how if I don't see it, it's hard to understand. I want to see it. So I called the sheriff and I got an appointment to go down before I went home to check it out. I tried to get Mr. Hughes, but he's on the phone all the time, I couldn't get him. So I'm getting out of my car in the parking lot, and he calls me. So I tell him what I'm doing. He says, I'll be there in 5 minutes. So we met with the sheriff, and he took us this cell pod that was empty. It's got 50 pods in it, 50 cells. And we walked around and we checked all the dogs. They seem to be doing well. Some of them are pretty scared, some are pretty thin. But the point I want to get at is they've got plenty of food, piles of it, right on them.
Yes.
They've got plenty of help to clean and take care of the animals, take them out for walks, whatever they do. And the dogs seem to be happy. But my concern was, what's going to happen to these cells, I'll call them cells, after the dogs are gone? How are we going to be able to put inmates in there? But the floor has got a certain epoxy that's very easy to clean. The ventilation system is separate from all the rest of the pods, so it's a good thing. And as of right now, things seem to be going pretty good. And like I told the sheriff, I said, you might be setting a precedent in the state by doing this. And nothing else in there. So, Legislator Hughes, you got anything like that?
It's just heartbreaking. Some of those dogs. I mean, it was just heartbreaking. Some of them were so skinny, and that every one of them had blood in their eyes. I wanted to go play with all of them.
How many did you take home with you, Francis?
Good.
I like to travel, I'm no more customer. But he did say there's like 15 of them that are going to be adopted once it clears. So the legal system clears it. And he also said that the officers are going to volunteer their time to help out, which really surprised me, but it's a good thing.
Well, that doesn't surprise me.
There was one officer.
Good officers.
One officer was bringing in a bunch of toys
Ah,
that he was donating. It was really, it was really good.
Quite a social thing.
Yeah, it was.
Well, excellent.
It's all
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It's all good.
Yes, sir.
Are the inmates participating in the care of them, or is it
No,
strictly?
no.
Okay.
No PTA people and the officers.
Okay, Elmore and Sherry.
Thanks.
Kevin is? Oh, I missed you. Kevin, that's all right.
How many you take home?
I thought you would be. I'm looking right at you. Go ahead, Kevin.
Just on that, I also talked to Ricky on, before I came into this session tonight, and asked him a few questions. They did check with the Association of Sheriffs to make sure that it was okay to have those, just to answer that concern that we both had, so I wanted to make sure that, you know, he is setting a precedent, because it's never did before, but there's nothing at the county level that would stop them from housing those animals there. As far as the care of the animals, he said he's got all he can do to keep the employees away from them. They don't want to go down there and see them, so they're getting a lot of good care. But, you know, ACA accreditation kind of thing, I was nervous about that. They checked with it. Everything seems to be up to par.
All right, anyone else before we go to resolutions? Yes, sir.
Mike?
Yes, sir.
You have Mr. Castine? I want to leave. You're gonna leave.
Oh, okay, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Mr. Castine, Legislator Perry is excusing himself, so would you move the resolutions for the closing?
Just for him.
That's good.
Simple, all you do is say yes.
Unless I'm opposed.
Okay, before voting on the resolutions, I want to note that the majority of the resolutions have been thoroughly discussed by the appropriate committees, and the legislature is taking action tonight based in large part on the recommendation of those committees. Mr. Zerlo, would you please read the title of the resolutions to be acted upon?
Certainly. Resolution number 147, authorizing the clerk of the Clinton County Legislature to advertise for a public hearing regarding the 8-year review of Agricultural District 7C Planning Department.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Castine. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 148, authorizing the purchasing agent to solicit bids for the rehabilitation of runway 1735 lighting and reconstruction of the airfield guidance signage project, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Hughes. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 149, authorizing contract extension with Boyle, Tanner and Associates Incorporated for independent fee estimate services for the rehabilitation of taxiway A and general aviation apron Phase 2 project, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Berge. Discussion?
Sorry, sir, Legislator Parede, not.
Oh, that's, I'm sorry. He just walked out. Kretzer. Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Kretzer. This,
No. You're good.
All right, never mind.
Who's on first? You're good.
discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Castine?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Resolution number 150, amending resolution 343 dated April 26, 2023, titled awarding bid for foreign object debris sweeper vehicle, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Hughes. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Castine?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 151, authorizing the acquired continuous friction measuring equipment project grant application, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Bizzaio. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Castine?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution number 152, amending resolution number 45 dated January 24, 2024, titled authorizing change order number 1 and final with Reifenberg Construction Incorporated, rehabilitation of taxiway B pavement and general aviation Phase 2 project, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Hughes. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Castine?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 153, authorizing contract extension with Boyle, Tanner and Associates for independent fee estimate services for the installation of passenger boarding bridge Gate 2 construction project, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Randall. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Castine?
Aye. Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution number 154, authorizing various contracts for the year 2024, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Hughes. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Castine?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution number 155, amending resolution 873 dated November 20, 2023, titled authorizing lease amendment with Beta Technologies Incorporated, Plattsburgh International.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Kretzer. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Castine?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution 156, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation and corresponding revenue for the absentee ballot prepaid postage grant, Board of Elections.
Motion, legislator Waldron, second, legislator Bizzaio. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Castine?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution number 157, authorizing the county treasurer to increase appropriation and corresponding revenue for the Performance Incentive Award, Health Department.
Motion, legislator Randall, second, legislator Kretzer. Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Castine?
Yes.
Ms. Waldron?
Yes.
Carried.
Resolution number 158, congratulating the Shazy Central World School boys varsity soccer team on capturing their 10th New York State Public High School Athletic Association Class D championship.
4-3, I would ask for 4-3. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution number 159, urging the federal government and the state of New York to provide immediate assistance to local governments to address the migrant crisis. Legislature.
Motion, legislator Castine, second, legislator Hughes. Any discussion?
Yes. No, I've been motion for this, and to me, the most important part of this is the safety concern for people along that border. You know, the other parts of this are all important, but to me, the most vital part is the safety concerns that our people have, justifiable safety concerns that our people have up there on the northern border, and that has to be addressed by the state and federal government.
Very good. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No 15-2s. Anything further to come before the legislature? I'd ask for a motion to adjourn. Yeah, go ahead. You want to wait till after?
Yeah.
Okay. Motion to adjourn. Legislator Zile, seconded by Legislator Hughes. Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed?